Okay.
There you go. Now you
Nice.
can say
Well,
it.
one-on-one. Good morning to all, to everyone. Mike, here, let me raise my glass to you as well.
Cheers.
Waka, cheers. All right. This is a one-on-one plus two watching later on.
Two digitally in the ether.
Two digitally. Nice.
Very cool. So Lisa and Amanda, when you two see this, we were just chatting about space and time.
Space and time.
Yeah, so I'm sure that'll come up again as we're listening to a couple of these songs, but I'm glad you can join us after the fact through the video. But we'll just dig into your tune. So is there anything you wanna say before I have a listen to it?
To mine?
Yeah.
I guess there's no one else here, so I was like, who are you? Are you talking to them? No, like it I went with tried to go with the super super simple approach, like did one strum here and there. I had a hard time with this with writing the lullaby, which I found interesting because I thought originally that it was going to be something that would very much so flow for me. But like I was saying to you before you started recording, I think my style already I consider to be maybe on the simpler side of things, and this was like a really like a step back from that, like slow it down even more. Slow it down, lullaby. And I found that hard, and that's, I think that challenge is a good thing, but I was trying to, I didn't write any type of chorus. Like I tried humming, which I've never done in the song before.
Mm-hmm.
And tried humming like really high because, you wanted, if we're playing like a little bit, like a chord that's a little lower, like humming high. So I was trying to test my vocal limits, which was pretty hard because I think there was a little squeaking going on in the recording. And I kept squeaking, and I was like, you know what, screw it. Like, let's just go with it. I was
Embrace
like,
the squeak.
Whatever. Squeak away, man. Actually, when I did that one lesson with your wife, and we were going down the keyboard testing my vocal limits, I went a lot higher than I thought I could go.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's easier when you're playing, like if you're listening to a key on a keyboard and you're trying to replicate that vocally, then the opposite of what kind of was part of this prompt, which is like, if you're playing something lower, maybe try and sing a bit higher. So it's the opposite of that. So you can't kind of tune into the chords you're playing and replicate that or work with it. You're doing like the opposite. So, but yeah, that not too much else to say. It was fun. Yeah.
Right on. All right. Well, I'll pop it up here. Let's go. Ba-ba.
Still working on getting like the actual recording down. I don't think I'm like the best at the actual recording part, but that's been fun to try.
Yeah,
well,
we can chat about that too, because that's a good thing. There's lots of different little ways to do it, but also, yeah, it's just to see the variety of things that you can do it on, and whether it's just like a positioning thing for sound is really important, versus like if you have something that you can record layers to do different stuff, like that's fun too. But yeah, we'll touch base on that.
Yeah.
After this, so first of all, how did you record this? Like, what's your process when you go to record?
I just used GarageBand on my computer, and then we have my partner just gave me this little like mic that we just had in storage for a long time. That I don't even remember the type of mic it is, but it's just like a plug-in. It's like a GarageBand microphone, so it's just like a sweet little thing that I think just picks up the sound a little clearer. So I've just been using those two things.
That's awesome. Well, that's perfect. Okay, so if you have GarageBand, then that allows for some really, really cool things, like especially when you can lay multiple tracks down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
I was thinking about like layering some voices on it, or harmonizing on top of some of the verses, but maybe on a future. I've played around with GarageBand and enough and done that I have a little bit of an idea. It's more just getting like the volume down. I find sometimes like the distance of the microphone, I'm not sure like how far away it's supposed to be and what to have the volume at before I start recording. Like kind of that, you know, that
Those little technical setup.
those exactly the setup and the mixing type stuff that I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna record. You know, it'll work.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about those couple things in a sec here.
Yeah.
But we'll do this puppy. All right, here we go.
Good night, girl. It's time to sleep away all the fun of the day and all the mountains we've climbed that you left behind. Good night, girl. It's time to close your eyes and let go of your cries, like all the bees in the trees and all the fish in the sea. It's time to dream big dreams and rest with all of the queens. I know the places you'll go and all the people you'll know. Good night, girl. Your parents love you so much. You are the best part of us, and all the things that we'll do will surround them around you.
Cool.
Space.
Space, the final frontier.
Yeah, exactly. When are we going there? Maybe we can take this songwriting course up there.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we just need like $1 million each to buy tickets, but
to fully embrace space for this song challenge.
Yeah,
exactly. We're going into the anti-gravity.
Exactly. One of these songs is going to make it big and it'll take us up there. One of our songs.
I like it. Cool. Well, awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's neat to see. Actually, well, just because you'd mentioned it, and maybe chat about this as a vocal thing, just because it was on my mind, like you said about the squeak. Like when
yeah.
It's neat when you go. I think particularly it's just different for men and women too. But like when you're going into your higher registers, like it's something not as regularly practiced for guys than it is for women to kind of go into, especially like with the like there's you get into like the different vowel sounds and consonant sounds, and it's interesting to see like making the the choices of those, because sometimes it's like, maybe I should do a yeah here, or like a ooh, or a
Yeah.
And it's always, I think it's interesting why we choose that, but it's usually never for the reason that it's easier to sing about like a certain sound. It's just for what feels
Totally.
like the word should be.
Totally.
But with how you deliver a little bit something like that, like the it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough one on the voice chord
Totally.
wise to like muscularly to get out. So like if you're gonna do it, it's interesting to try to bring it up to that the sound happening in like a breathier kind of headspace as opposed to like a throat space.
Yeah, I felt like I was trying to push it out. I was like, ooh. It's like, oh, this kind of hurts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's fun to experiment with just seeing how it can have a bit of like a lighter approach to entering how you do it.
Yeah, totally.
And I think the cool thing about a lullaby too is like if you really kind of settle into the spirit of it, and you know this from, I think, from playing yoga classes too, like when you get into that space, there's just a different, everyone's kind of like relaxing anyway, so it changes how you deliver your singing.
Totally.
And sometimes when you know that you're being heard so clearly by everyone, sometimes you're not going to go as loud. So in this kind of a thing, it might just be fun to play with like almost like a breathier internal delivery of it. Just like slowly ease into it in that process. But like, it's a really cool effect. And I think it was just that first one that happened. The other ones, it sounded like that was really happening anyways. So
yeah, I was just warming up I would like practice without recording, and then I'd be like, okay, I got it. And then the first time, every time I would start recording and my voice would squeak on it, and I was like, well, you know what? Well,
oh, you still there? Hello.
Position though. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. We're back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I was just saying, but yeah, it was like, I think like even doing some vocal exercises, and like it'd be cool to learn, more ways to kind of expand the vocal range.
Well, no, actually, one that I was given not too long ago, it's kind of a neat one. It's especially for like playing or just going through that. We all have different breaks in our voice, like when your voice shifts registers. And there's this kind of exercise of like sliding kind of up a note range, like going from like ooh, like something like that, like. But as you're going up, like really, really slowly, to kind of lessen your volume and just be more delicate as it goes up, as it kind of just changes. And the slower you go, it is very illuminating to see habits that we have sometimes of like skipping over certain things.
Totally.
I had the one that was like a similar kind of exercise where I would go up, and basically if you were trying to do a sliding scale from like the notes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up, my voice would just automatically skip from 1 to 5. Like,
yeah.
And I
don't want to go there.
Yeah, like it was
2 through 4. Screw that.
Pretty much. Well, that's where it was just like that's where that little crackle part would happen.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm still working on that. It's just neat to see, but that's part of the slower you do it and the more you get used to it, then you can ease through it at any time when you're singing. So
totally
familiarizing yourself with your voice of how to do that and be comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's interesting what you were saying, like when you mentioned the yoga classes, because like that is, I mean, besides like the 2 shows that I played this summer, like that is kind of my extent of playing outside of my living room in front of people, even though it's like not in front of people, because in a yoga studio it's like the back corner and no one's looking at you.
Right.
But it did allow me to like explore a bit with the humming and the vocal ranges, just because I had the freedom of not having like kind of playing a show where like people are staring at you and all eyes are on you, where, you know, maybe you're in a bar and maybe not all eyes are on you, but people are listening to your sounds, and you don't want to like, you know, be kind of exploring your vocal range there when you're playing like a show. But in the yoga studio, it kind of allowed for that space just because people were doing an activity already. So it, you know, the music was complementary to the practice. It wasn't the main focus.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting though that like, again, like I know what you mean, because I've just noticed it especially like the class that I'm playing regularly now is a Sunday morning class at 8:30 in the morning. So it's really, early.
Cool.
Which is a funny time of day to be singing, like after you've woken up and like,
yeah,
to be doing that. But I think because your voice is still warming up at that time and you're maybe a bit tired or whatever, like you start trying different things. Like you're saying, there's this freedom to feel like you can express vocally a little differently.
Yeah.
But it's a funny thing psychologically, is like in a show, like you should still kind of be able to do the same thing, you know, like it's just,
yeah, it's true.
But it's different. So there's environmental things that affect how you express. So say like the sound of the room in an acoustic, really nice, you know, has a natural reverb, or just like a lot of the yoga studios particularly sound great. And it becomes attractive, and like ideas will pop up when you have that sound texture on your voice to like explore different things, you know?
There you are. Lost you there for a second.
Okay.
Got you back.
Just saying, like in a room like a yoga studio, even just the sound, you know, when you walk in there, like, ooh, that sounds exciting.
Totally. Nice acoustics.
Whereas in a stage situation, sometimes you don't get that. Like you have a microphone and you can have those effects added to it. And that's kind of like where I think the natural artistic expressive stuff comes, is if you have a sound that you hear that feels that you're ready to go and it's inspiring to want to sing.
Yeah, totally.
Because if it's not, then sometimes you're like thinking, oh, that doesn't sound like me. That's not the way I want it to. I don't know. It doesn't really want you to explore.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you do have the option, it's always good to have consistencies of what you like for your optimal singing expression. And if it's just, say, for example, sometimes asking for some reverb in the monitor if they can, like, or something that creates a little bit more of that ideal expressive place for you, then that's always a good thing to ask for.
Totally. I think it's also good to like, I mean, even exploring how you sing the same song. Like one of the things I love about Bob Dylan, like one of my favorite artists of all time, but like he plays the same song like 20 different ways. Like if you look at his career and you like listen to how he, you know, might have played a song in like the late 60s and then in the 70s and the 80s, it's like even like show by show, it's just completely different. And like, you know, so that artistic expression and that like, you know, changing things around is a good thing. You know, you don't want to, I think sometimes it's, you know, it's nice when you mix things up and have the ability to create.
For sure. Cool. So, yeah. But anyway, back to the song here. So like, I really like the space. And the concept is really sweet. Like it's just a neat phrase to keep coming back to. Like the good night girl is always the first line. Good night girl. Yeah, like it's you can hear you're playing with like that kind of breathier range, which is works really, really well for this. And I just like the playfulness of a lot of it too, and like just to kind of sleep away all the fun you had in the day. I like the references of like all the bees in the trees and all the fish in the sea.
I was trying to like make it kid. I was like looking up lullabies and I was like, oh, like some lullabies just have like cute lines in them. You know, it's like, because I think we want to start singing it to her for her like nighttime routine now.
That's awesome.
You know, maybe we can like have this be a song we play her for the next however long she lets us play it for her.
50
maybe not
years.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe not when she's like 15, but
you never know.
You never know.
So a couple of questions I had with So with the third verse here, all the places you go, and all the was this I was just curious about the last line, all the people you know. Was that intended to be all the
Oh,
people you'll know?
yeah, that's supposed to
Okay,
be you'll know.
gotcha.
And then I was like having a hard time, like just the second and the third lines. Like I wanted to have a line that had to do with dream and dreaming, but the third line, like, and rest with all of the queens, I didn't like love that line. I just couldn't find anything that like remotely rhymed, had like a rhythm with dreams. Like queens doesn't rhyme with dreams, but it was like close enough that I felt like I could use it.
Oh yeah,
But
for
that was
sure.
like, yeah, no, that was just like that was like one of the lines I was kind of like unsure about because I wanted to like rhyme it, but
I don't know. I
yeah,
like the line actually. I think it's a kind of a pretty neat line.
cool.
Yeah, and the rhyme, like again, you don't ever have to worry about like directly rhyming. Like that's pretty close enough. Dreams and Queens rhymes almost perfectly.
Mm.
Um, and it's actually interesting to kind of have unusual rhymes. You know, like I think it just is a fun thing to experiment with.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
not as obvious. It gives it a unique twist.
Yeah, rhyming can limit you too, I think. Like I try not to focus too much on rhyming just because like once you do try and rhyme, then like I mean it like literally will limit your vocabulary,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
because there's just like a certain amount of words that you can use. So, but it's a hard one because I think sometimes naturally we as like songwriters or poets, like a lot of people like rhyming is kind of one of those things that maybe you like naturally try and do.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's like a good exercise to like get away from rhyming too. I have a
For
hard time
sure.
doing that sometimes.
Yeah, it's as well in a lot of ways. It's a very satisfying thing because it's I don't know. There's a completeness to it,
Yeah,
and I
totally.
think you're right. Like just maybe because we've grown up with it, you're kind of used to it. It's like an early childhood thing that is deeply implanted.
Totally.
This is the way it's supposed to be.
Totally.
but but yeah, it is interesting to play with that and to see to step away from time to time if that try to understand, I guess, why that's hard, you know, and like and be okay with it too. I think that's one thing when you don't rhyme and you feel like it should to mentally just be able to execute it and be like,
Yeah.
this is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
This still works.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, sonically, like it sounds complete. Like when you're rhyming something, you're like, okay, like in my head, that sounds like it should be. But like that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. Like it could still sound like what it should be without rhyming.
for
It's
sure.
just like, you know, maybe when we're in like the first grade and we're learning how to write poetry, like that's what our teachers are teaching us. Like, you know, rhyming, and you know, if we write a poem, like let's try and rhyme all the end, you know, the last words of the line. At
I'm
least for
thinking,
me, that's what it was like.
yeah, well, I'm thinking it's more of a memory tactic, right? Like
Yeah, definitely.
just so it helps you remember and there's all those other things that have like little mnemonics or whatever little catchy things that help you remember a concept or an idea or just a bigger
Yeah,
picture. If you have these anchor words, as long as you
totally.
remember these two words, you remember the whole thing, you know.
Totally.
So yeah, it's just I would be neat to see like why that ever started in the first place. Like where did
Yeah,
rhyming
for
come
sure. For sure.
from? But yeah, this last part of it, things will do. What do you mean by the very last word line?
I think what I meant by that was that like the things that we'll do, like you will be like the center of like you'll be the reason why
Oh,
we
okay,
do those things. Like and I
gotcha.
didn't put around, I said just round because I don't feel like I pronounced the A when I said we'll surround them around you. But like all the things that we'll do, we'll surround them around you.
Gotcha.
Um
Cool.
yeah, that was the meaning behind that. But yeah, I was like trying to. I thought it when I first started. I was like, I kind of wanted to tell a story, but then I don't know. I think I just was like, you know what? I want to write something that like, you know, is like simple, and then maybe like down the line, like my daughter Amalia will like, you know, this will be something that like we can sing to her, and you know, I showed it to my partner, and she's like, some of these lines don't make sense, and I'm like, yeah, well, like look at every poem I've ever written. half the shit on there doesn't make sense. So like that, but it's just like you're writing a lullaby, so like maybe you make it a bit more sense. And I'm like, that's a good point. Like maybe have it be not just like random words put together, which is normally like what I like to do. I'm like, I'm gonna get people thinking and like make myself think and be like, what does this line mean? Well, that's poetry. It doesn't have to always make sense.
Well, that's again actually kind of a neat thing to talk about, because I had a discussion once with somebody about this kind of a thing after a show. And for the context of the song, if you like, what's the purpose of a lullaby?
Are you asking that?
Yeah.
Soothing, like something calming.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think it always has to be like a bedtime thing. I think I associated it with like, this is a way to like put you to sleep. But I think I associated it with that because I think of like something that brings you down. If your energy is super high, like it's a calming thing. You know, I think
Sure.
I think of love too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think a lot of lullabies, have like a caring, like kind of nurture component to them. Not all, but like, the ones that I think of like growing up when my moms would sing me lullabies, I'd be like, okay, this is like, I remember my parents singing them to me. Like there's an association thing there too.
Mm-hmm. There's well, I think even too, like you can think of like, there's two different nervous systems that we have that really get talked about. Like you have one that's called the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, which is like, the sympathetic is basically everything that like fires you up, then gets you like good to go. And just like, that's the activation aspect of moving, living. Whereas like the parasympathetic is the opposite. It's the thing that kind of just like soothes, like you're saying, and like shuts down, allows to repair, allows to heal, all that kind of stuff. So in a lot of ways, like lullabies are that way. And it's meant to be that kind of soothing, bring you down type of experience so that you can ease and relax. And like you said, a lot of these in the lines actually is really great, of just like let go of your cries. Like it's time to close your eyes and just like ease into, the restful part of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So in saying that, sometimes I think it's better to have like have the lyrical kind of messaging be stuff that's not that hard to dissect or swallow.
Yeah.
Because if it does make you think, or if it does kind of make you kind of ponder stuff or whatnot, that's not necessarily going to help you sleep.
Totally.
Right? Like it's the kind of thing where you start getting into philosophical stuff and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, what does that mean?
So there's an instance like I was talking with my mom and my sister at one point too. We were talking about like the movies that Hallmark makes, especially for Christmas time. They'll have like one every day there's like 30 movies of Christmas movies that are more or less kind of the same plot.
Yep.
And they're very predictable. Like they kind of have these situations, but like both my mom and my sister have said that they like watching them because they know nothing crazy is going to happen. Like it's going to be something that they can just totally relax to and shut off and just go somewhere and relax and know that they're not going to be like taxed. So I thought that was interesting to hear. Like that is
interesting.
It's a medium or a form that is for soothing and being, kind of restful. So yeah, I think that it's a good call to just have things be more like, not affirmations in a way, but just these kind of like, it's a supportive texture to it, that you're like, the lyricals are like, you're there, like you are supported.
Totally.
Just rest, like do your thing. You wash away the stuff of the day and just start fresh again tomorrow.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you don't want like an existential dilemma while you're listening to a lullaby. Not the point.
But that would be interesting.
Well, I mean, who knows? Depends on what floats your boat. Maybe there's some people out there that, really thrive and go to sleep when their minds are
on fire.
On fire. They may just shut them, they're spinning so fast that eventually they just shut right off, but not the majority. And not babies. You know, definitely not babies. Overstimulate your kid, they'll never sleep.
Yeah. Well, here's your chance to do a controlled study.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let you know how it goes next week.
We've developed a sophisticated lullaby program.
Yeah, exactly. Right here in Victoria, BC.
Insomnia Central.
Yeah, exactly. Lullaby.com. No, lullaby.ca.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, like I think just the whole message of it is really, really beautiful and really pretty. And so one thing, do you have your guitar handy?
Yeah, I do. I have it next to me, but I'll have to like figure out where to put my phone.
So you're doing, for the most part, you're doing like G's and
yeah, G's and C's, and then there's D in there as well.
That little slide up?
The slide up is like the C shape.
Yeah.
What can you see right now with my guitar? Because like all I see is I see that your computer, and then I see your face. I don't see me. Do you see
gotcha.
Do you see my guitar?
If you slide it a bit more to your right.
To my right.
Yep, you're the right. Slide.
The right. Okay, my left. There we go. Can you see my fingers?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just going like.
Sure.
And then that's the humming. It's just like I'm plucking kind of the A and D string, and then dropping down, and then strumming the G.
Cool. So
now I see myself. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the only part that kind of I like the chord, like the chord choices are great. I think the part of what kind of took me out of the lullaby part of it was you kind of that's the only place in the song where you had kind of an abrupt stop. Like and it's kind of like a punchy, like it's like a like kind of had a smack.
Totally.
This is one thing that'll help with the space too. Sometimes of timing is like when to come back in is whatever the instrument is or whatever if your voice is doing the main carrying of what's going on is to kind of let timing be relevant to like the decay of sound. Does that make sense? So like with this, if you're doing like a see how long?
Like let it resonate.
Yeah, until it like really. Just the idea more of like, I don't think you need to and stop it right away. Let it stay and then go. Do it again, yeah.
No. I'm also like, do you not make that sliding noise? Like, are you taking your fingers completely off of the strings?
I was going to be my next point is again something for it's nice to have the context of a lullaby because it's meant to be kind of quiet and soothing, right?
Totally.
Have like that.
Yes. Like, which it came across in the recording a bit, and I was like, all right, the mic picks it all up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like it's basically like kind of for a brief moment, like if you can see like when you do like that first one, it's like you take the fingers off and just give it see already like that just was like massive amounts quieter. Yeah,
so you're like really picking. I mean, you got to take your fingers off the strings to prevent that sound.
Yep. But also when you're on the higher one too, and you're doing like the decay and you let it go, then if you take your fingers off and come, like you're not going to notice, like you don't really need the slide down on the end of it. You can, it's the sound's already kind of come down completely and you can just reposition.
Yeah, totally.
And there's something too, like I think with like how you anchor. So you know, on most guitars, and like particularly with the steel string, like you've got the first E string, A string, D string are quite, they've got the ridges
Yeah,
in the strings, whereas like the last few don't. They're completely
don't
smooth, right?
totally.
So when you have that, if you, this is another little bias kind of trick that you can do, is like if you have that, you can keep this finger down,
Mm,
and you're not going to get that sound because that one doesn't have that friction.
totally, and it like still kind of helps you keep the shape without like lifting your fingers totally off.
Exactly. It allows you to anchor, and actually will still carry a bit of the sound. See, if you hear it like this way, if I favor this string, this top one here, it's like.
Mm. Yeah, it's still a little squeaky, but oh, there. Cool.
Yeah, so there's very, very, very little subtle things like that, but again, like it's those subtle things that really color a different genre. They color a different mood. The expression, that those little things make big differences.
Would you like just strum instead? Because that was the other idea I have, just like strumming, but I was like, this is too, like, I need to like add something in here. Because it was just like, so, I was like, oh my God, this is so slow. So I thought maybe I'll just pluck. But like originally I was just like, and then just back, and I was just strumming it. But I thought maybe like the plucking added a little more texture, but
it depends. Like, again, this is now, like, now that you've created the song this way, it allows you the framework to be like, well, I like parts of it when it's just the open strum or like the pick. But maybe for this part, it would be nice to go and add like something else. Like maybe now, like if you went back to it and decided to do like you know, like a string by string, and then maybe a strum.
I'm like really trying not to have that sliding noise.
Yeah, and or reversing the order too, of like going from the high side to the low side, like, you know, like there's little simple things like that
Nice.
creating these really cool substitutions, you know.
Totally. Like even that just sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, this is my new guitar, by the way. I'm pumped. I'm super pumped on it.
Yeah, exciting.
My lovely partner got it for me for my B-day. It's sweet. Really... It's got a plug-in too, so I'm like, can plug it in finally, which I've never done before.
Can you see the top of it? Can you show me the volume control part of it?
Yeah.
I always think. Okay.
I see it.
The B band one, yeah.
And then it's a local company. Like it's here, let's put it down so I can show it to you. It's Simon and Patrick Luthier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I've seen. They're solid guitars. Like, they're kind of in the same realm of like the Seagull guitars and Norman guitars, and like they may be from the same place. But yeah, they're always a really solid guitar to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's just nice getting new guitars too. And it's all like, so when you go guitar shopping, like it's so like, I'd never bought my own guitar or like had one, you know, gotten for me because it was a present. But like when you try them out, like, you know, even you might aesthetically like the looks of one, but like the sounds you might not like at all. Like it's such a sound thing. It's like, you kind of have to go shopping for your own guitar.
Oh yeah.
Like you have to play it because it's just like so particular to your taste.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and you don't know until you've tried a bunch too. And like,
totally.
It's really easy to be swayed by the appearance of one too.
Yep.
You're like, oh, but this one's bright orange.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Or bright pink.
Totally. That I think skews about 80% of most people's guitar decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I wanted to get a guitar that was like definitely different than the one I previously owned for like the last 10 years
Yep.
and like a different shape. And I like was stoked to, I don't know, just, there's like those guitars where you can really play up the fretboard and they have those like cuts kind of down at the bottom of the guitar. So your fingers can act. Oh yeah, exactly. There you go.
So, yeah.
So I was like looking at those. There it is. There's your face.
The chin, that's where the face goes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was playing guitars like that, but I just didn't like the sound. And I ended up picking up this guitar that literally resembles like my old guitar.
Yeah.
It was like exactly the same and even a little smaller. And I just was like, well, it's a sound thing.
It is, yeah.
Here we go.
Totally. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
So there's the lullaby.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Okay. So I've got a few different ideas here. Oh, well, first of all, I guess we'll maybe just, I was going to say as a recording thing, and I know like, Amanda's actually really good to have on this front because she went through audio engineering school.
Yeah, sweet.
So she'll probably chime in next time with some of these things too. But like if just in general, some of the stuff for recording, like one, if you're doing it live, like the guitar and the voice at the same time, for the purposes of this kind of stuff, it's always nice to have like the lyrics be more of the focus. Mm-hmm. So the height of the microphone is important, and a lot of the times if it's on a desk or if it's on your whatever, it's going to be like right in front of the guitar and your voice will be further away.
Yeah, totally.
So if you have the ability in any way to kind of like elevate the height of the mic to be more closer in your face range, you'll hear the guitar in the back. It'll just make the voice more clear and present.
I remember you saying that like the first week because I had like put my phone, I'd recorded it on my phone for the introduction song.
Right.
And I put the phone like on our coffee table, which is the same height of my guitar. So it just like picked up the guitar. It was like just the guitar, like you had mentioned. Yeah. And the last couple of times I put it on like our dining room table, which is taller and it's more kind of like, my guitar is lower than it, but I still think the mic needs to be higher up. Like it's closer to my voice, but I still think I need to bring the mic up, like put some books underneath it or something. And
yes.
But I'll it's fun. I'll toy around with it.
Yeah, well, just to see how it sounds. Like it's just neat to a simple little change like that can make that whole part of it come out so much more prominently. Yeah, so
totally.
But another thing though too is like if you, depending on the mic, like and where this situation is, if it's just a USB mic, sometimes there's the volume knob on the microphone, or is there any volume on the one that you have?
It's right here. I'm just gonna go look at it.
Sure.
Let's see. No, I don't think it's on. It's called the Snowball.
Oh yeah.
Snowball Ice.
Nice.
You know these little guys?
That company's got some cool stuff. I've seen that one before, yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't look like there's a volume knob on this guy.
Okay. So usually that's something that you can adjust in your GarageBand. So I guess this is something as a strength of signal. It's good to watch, like if it's peaking, like if you have too much volume or not enough volume, like you'll be able to see if it's at least going from like green to yellow to red's usually the peak.
Okay.
But you always gonna kind of want to have it somewhere in that mid range or like maybe in the yellow if that works. But it's particularly if you're singing with a softer voice, it's good practice to actually give yourself a little bit less volume gain on the mic and actually just work on kind of like singing a little bit louder, just with a little bit more volume, because there's something that happens with the tone of your voice that will come through a little bit stronger, but also the less kind of volume you have on a microphone. This is if you're doing more fuller recordings, like the higher the sensitivity on the microphone, you'll pick up all sorts of room sounds and static more so, which when it comes in, it'll be like,
yeah, for sure.
So the lower you can have it, but with like a higher signal, like coming or a higher input from your voice, the more distance will be between those two things. So it'll just add more clarity.
Cool. Yeah, I'm surprised no one's mentioned like the sound machine in the background yet from our baby's room, because that's what I'm trying to like drown out. Is like when I do the recording, there's like this whoosh, whoosh, like white noise in the whole house, and I'm like, the mic's gonna pick this up for sure, but
Well,
seems to
again,
not be doing it so much.
I think in general, like you don't really realize how many sounds are going on in your house until you listen
Totally.
to like a microphone like that.
Totally. I mean, even like moving the guitar on your lap, just like, or moving your feet. Like the first couple of times I did it, I was like making this squeaky noise just with my like feet that I didn't even realize I was doing, and like moving my guitar, and I was like, okay, stay still.
Yeah.
Stay still.
Or the chair you're on. It's like
the chair. Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh man, that sounds terrible when it's recorded. Wow.
Again, it depends. Like some people really like it because that then shows that it's a real thing, like it just
totally. It doesn't sound terrible. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get like a really clear sound.
Yeah. You do have to be like positioning and whatnot, and just like the technique of recording for that to be clean is different.
Yeah, it's not as natural. I think like moving around, I don't know, when I play I like to move around a little bit more, and like recording you have to be like so still.
Well, it's different too, because I think the technology now is a lot more specifically tuned, like they pick up everything, whereas I think like older microphones, and I think why people like a lot of older recordings for for the warmth of them and whatnot, I think they just weren't as sensitive, so they didn't pick up everything.
Totally.
So you're gonna the stuff you are hearing has a different texture, and it's not so you can't hear like the minuscule things. You're just not going to notice them.
Yep, for sure.
So I think people could be a lot more freer in that situation to do whatever, and you wouldn't hear it. So
totally.
Yeah, but yeah, those are just a couple of things that will help, and I think even just like positioning wise, like when you're doing guitar and vocal at the same time, it'll be what it'll be. But like if you were recording the guitar on its own and then singing over it, it's good to have like kind of that amount of distance, like somewhere from like this far away, or like somewhere in that neighborhood to have that. It just depends. Like you can have a little thing in front of it as well, like you should call it like a pop filter or something, that for like the P's and the D sounds and whatnot, like where you're pushing lots of air.
Yeah,
it helps to like block out those like boom.
Yeah,
but those are again more deeper recording things for the sake of like just doing a little demo like this to share. It doesn't matter at all, but just good things to be aware of and think about playing around with it, right?
Totally.
Because it's
looks like my baby arrived.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have any other questions for Zach?
No, that's good. That was great. That was great feedback.
Okay. Well, let's have a quick look at Lisa's lyrics. She said she didn't have time to work out the music, but she's got some cool lyrics here. So
cool.
So I'll share it here so you can see it as well. And
so you guys are doing what kind of a class are you guys doing together? You and Lisa are doing the.
Oh, we're part of a class that's it's based in Los Angeles, and it is focused on everything to do with like writing and producing and collaborating on music for the purposes of directing it to placement, trying to get placements for it in TV and film and commercials.
Okay. Yeah, you told me about that a while ago. That's cool that you're doing that together.
Yeah, well, it's
sweet.
We're kind of in different sections of it all. Like there's different courses, or the same courses in a way, but like different curriculums or cohorts. That's the word I'm looking for.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, we've been able to meet each other through that, which is super cool. Although no, actually we are in the same group. So, but there's a lot of people. Like in our group, it started out with like 200 some odd people. So, but yeah, we didn't actually meet each other until we went to this conference in LA.
Oh, really?
In August. Yeah.
Cool.
There's a couple of people from the Vancouver area that I met down there.
Cool.
And, it's awesome to be able to connect with. And
totally good networking.
Yeah. All right. So here's the lyrics that she wrote, and I think, if I remember correctly, this is supposed to be for her cat. So here, I'll read them out. You've been my baby for many years. You brought me joy and dried my tears. When you cry, it breaks my heart. Come closer. We're so far apart. And I will hold you. I will console you until you fall asleep. Unconditional love we'll always share. Our daily cuddles to show we care. I'll gently rock you, my arms around you, until you fall asleep. As you drift into dreams where you run and play, I will calm you with this serenade. I'll always love you. My heart belongs to you, and I'll gently rock you with my arms around you until you fall asleep.
Cute. I like how the verses end with "until you fall asleep." I like that a lot.
It's neat, actually. It's like the complete opposite of yours.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my first lines were the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. I wonder what the what her melody in her head is, or like what the sound of this would be if she was singing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she said she hadn't been able to work it out yet, but it is neat to see, like, and you as I guess both of you, like, being kind of more lyric dominant people initially. Like, when you write, are you ever like writing with the tune in mind, or do you just write to say the words? Like, how conscious of your rhythm when you're writing?
Usually, I mean, there are some times when, like, I'll just have like an idea in my head, like a rhythm in my head that will have no words to it, and then I'll just write them down, like, try and fit words to it after the fact, and then guitar will kind of come third. But I think, I mean, when I started taking your class, like a couple years ago when I first took that, I think I've been trying to reverse it a bit, where sometimes I write guitar first, just because I'm trying to do both and just switch it up a bit. But I mean, the lyrics come easier for me personally. Like, they come more naturally and fluidly.
Okay.
And the rhythm too is usually something that's in my head that comes out more naturally than the guitar piece. And then, I don't know what Lisa on the other end here. Well, I'm sure you have your thoughts as well.
Well, it's neat
Amanda.
Yeah, to see how it works, even just like visually, to see the number of lines, like in the middle one is a shorter one compared to the other two.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm just curious again, like musically or melodically, or like why would that one be shorter as opposed to the other two?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Which makes me think, like, if maybe there's a musical shift.
Yeah.
For that reason, or that just that way that kind of works around that meter, because it's like songs in general too, especially one that's meant to be soothing, is kind of like you're setting up a structural expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when this is one of those situations where I think it is potentially good to be consistent, because like when we have a familiarity of something that as a structural thing, it's a calming, soothing effect, as opposed to if it changes, sometimes that makes you kind of wonder like where it's going, or kind of puts you at a little bit more of a curiosity as opposed to ease.
Totally.
But again, just depending on how it's done musically, I think could have that effect just the same, and have a neat little transition in there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe her melody is switching there in that middle verse, and in her head, maybe that is like a vocal transition as well, like, because those the first and the last verses are, I think, have exactly the same number of lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of ways you could work with it. It'd be interesting to hear down the line what she does with it.
Mm-hmm. I like the kinds of things in this situation too. I like.
Dylan, right. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. I like when songs like this that are written for like an animal or something or whatever, like because it hasn't been stated, you wouldn't know. If you didn't know the backstory, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It becomes a very universal, open thing, which I think is cool that it just has versatility that way.
Totally.
Because I think of like dogs, particularly with the line. It's like, as you drift into dreams where you run and play, and be like laying on the ground, like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just like going hog wild on the floor, you know.
Yeah, I like totally. I actually that line you just mentioned, and then what comes after that. I will calm you with this serenade. Like I really like how those two lines work together.
Yeah, those are some of my those are, I think, my favorite lines in there too. That's really
yeah,
pairing.
Cool.
I guess there's just the only one thing that I have a question about is in the first verse, the line about the "come closer, we're so far apart."
Mm.
I think it's just maybe like a tense thing, because it's like it goes past tense, and that one just jumps present real quick. So it's like, you've been my baby for many years. You brought me joy and dried my tears. When you cry, it breaks my heart.
Come closer.
Come closer, we're so far apart. You know, it's like, how else can you say that? Like, does that seem like it could be said in a smoother way, or like?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, because you're touching on the "come closer." Is that being like a present, like kind of a direction, like
That's something like, again, when it's giving, like, when using the idea, like when you cry, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So that feels like the next line or something should maybe be like, and when, this doesn't rhyme, but like, it's like, but and when I don't know how to say it properly, but like, when we're apart, you know, like, come to me, or come closer to me, and I will hold you, you know. It's like, and I will, like, it's kind of saying like, I will do these things. But that one is like immediately, like, when you cry, it breaks my heart, come closer, we're so far apart.
Totally. She could even put in like, can you come closer? I mean, because then it's telling, I think maybe then if you add it as a question, then it fits in a bit with the past tense more.
Yeah, or
just like switching it to the present.
Or if you come closer.
If you come closer, totally.
I will hold you, I will console you. You know, like, that's, maybe it's something like that. That feels like that just has a flow that connects the two parts.
Yeah, totally. One word little change there might fix that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my only thing that I felt I got a bit stuck on, but otherwise it's great. I really like it a lot.
It is really nice.
Nice work, Lisa.
Yeah, beautiful poem.
Yeah. So I think I was just chatting with Amanda. We'll see. We have that little group on Facebook too, so that we can, if she has something there, then we can toss it up later in the week and can have a review of it, or add some feedback on her song there. Because it sounds like she got one done, just wasn't able to record it.
Cool.
Sweet. All right. Well, with that, I will give you the next thing.
Cool.
All right. There's one exercise I was going to do today that I think I'll save. You still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. There's one exercise I was going to do today that I'll save for when everyone's here at the same time. But for the time being, and actually this is kind of neat timing because of what you have for your new guitar. And I think this would be good for everybody in a way, is to actually write a tune, to have, again, like another subject here for your instrument.
Write a tune for
your guitar.
For the instrument?
Yeah. For Lisa, she just recently, I'd say, like, she could have two, or you could have two different options there. Like, your dominant one that you're used to is your voice, so, which is an instrument, you know, like to have a song for your voice would be kind of a neat concept too. But I think because you just got your keyboard, then that might be kind of a neat thing to explore as well, like the new discovery of something completely different, and what that looks like. So, and Amanda for sure, she's guitar based, so that would work for her. So that's the one part of it. The second part of it is no rhyming.
Nice.
I know Amanda's going to kick me for that, because I remember one of the first things that she said when she was introducing herself is that she loves to rhyme.
Yeah. Totally. No rhyming. Write a tune for the guitar. Is there anything in particular about the guitar, or is it just kind of like open door, whatever about the guitar?
I would say fairly open door, unless you're kind of struggling with that. I'm happy to give something specific about it, and no problem. But if you want something specific for it,
yeah, I mean, yeah, if you can you give an idea of like a specific thing, just so I can like have a bit more context?
Yeah. Well, you can say, for example, you can go about it a variety of different ways in terms of, I'll give you just some examples of like, you can talk to the guitar like it's a person. And it depends, there's different layers of a person it could be. Like it could just be a complete stranger because it's new. It could be like you're dating. It could be an old friend, you know, like it could be your therapist in a way. Like
Okay.
it's the listener is helping you kind of translate your ideas, right? Cool. You can be very specific and say, like, use the analogies of the guitar, of like the anatomy of the guitar, the different things about it. Like if you look into just like the terminology that's used with the guitar, that's kind of fun to use.
Okay.
That's if you want to be very specific to the listener that that's who you're singing to, or that's who you're writing to, and or not. Cool. You know, like you can again like treat it as a character as a human being, because it has a body, has a neck, has a head.
Totally.
has all these things, right? Has the ability to speak.
Cool. But I like that.
Yeah, I guess there's aspects of like what it gives to you, like what it allows you to do, or you can create an entire adventure based on like this as a character. Like you have a funny one because it's like Simon Patrick.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a funny combo of names.
Yep. So that's an opportunity to just like you look into the brand of like whether you want to research into the brand of like where that comes from and why, or like just want to make up the story about if that's, I don't know if you name your guitar, or like some people name their instruments and give them personalities. And
no, that's great. That's great context. Good. I like the idea of like talking to it like it's like an old friend. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Sweet.
Thank you for that.
You bet.
So those is just the two parts?
Yeah. I'll keep that. I was going to have a different part, but I'll save that for the next time when everyone's here, because it'll be more applicable with everybody in the same time. Awesome.
Sounds good.
Cool. Right on. Well, nice work.
Cool. Yeah, that was a nice little one-on-one session there. Yes. Hi to the others.
Hey.
Yeah, I'll ask you. I have a couple questions for you. Maybe when you stop recording, maybe we'll.
Sure. Well, here, I'll try an experiment here just to see if I can stop the recording but still keep this going. So 1 sec.
Cool.